Hi neighbours, I'm Rose from Co-Creative Connection. We bring communities together to create vibrant and joyful spaces through co-design workshops, celebrating your values and culture and transforming spaces into symbols of pride and unity. I'm here today to answer your questions.
Meet Rose, a visionary mural artist and the founder of Co-Creative Connection, a community-driven organization transforming public spaces into vibrant hubs of creative and connection. Specializing in large-scale public art, Rose doesn't just paint murals, she brings communities together. Through co-design workshops, she collaborates with local people to ensure that their identities, values, and cultures are woven into every piece. Her murals do more than beautify urban spaces. They create a sense of pride, unity, and social change. With a deep passion for community empowerment, Rose also helps secure funding and support for impactful public art projects, ensuring they leave a lasting legacy for both the environment and the people who engage with them. Today, she's here to answer the questions you sent in and share her insights on the power of public art, community collaboration, and storytelling through murals.
If you could describe your work in 3 words, what would they be? Creating joyful spaces. What's your morning routine and how does it set the tone for your day? I have an 8-year-old, so that means that it's not always exactly the same, but in an ideal world, I would be doing 15 minutes of yoga, 5 minutes of meditation. My daughter and I would have breakfast together and talk about our day, well, the day that's going to happen, and then I'll take her to school and I'll do at least a 45-minute, but it's probably more like hopefully an hour and a half walk while I'm listening to podcasts, making phone calls or audiobooks. So I feel like I'm actually getting stuff out of my day by walking and learning or doing those boring business calls. And then I'll get home, make a cup of tea, eat some pistachios, and then get started. What's a failure that you've experienced and what did it teach you? So I want to talk about 2 stories actually here. So I want to talk about, it's not really a failure, but it just shows my determination. So when I was at uni, which was a long time ago now, in my 2nd year, I wrote an essay about mods and I got a B for it, which I was really proud of because I'm dyslexic and I find writing really hard. And I wrote about the typical things about mods, about the music and the clothes. And I said to my teacher, what if I worked really hard on this, do you think I could get an A? And my teacher said to me, aim for a 3rd, which is the lowest mark that you can get. And for somebody that's ambitious and also for a teacher to say that and someone that's self-conscious about writing and all this kind of stuff, I was just like, in what world would I aim for a 3rd? That's like ridiculous. So I was like, if you're going to tell me that I can't do something, I'm actually going to show you. And in the end, I got 19 out of 20 for it. She said to me that it is warrant to be published, that I had PhD level of research. And I just felt like if you listen to somebody, even if they're an authority, I think you should always just be like, actually, I can do more. I know that I can do this, and not listen to naysayers. So I think it's really important to listen to your gut and know that you can do it. I had to seek other help. So I'm dyslexic and I seeked out a dyslexic teacher to help me structure it and do that really well. I interviewed all these people and I wrote about something that nobody's ever written about. I wrote about the identity of a mod, which was something completely different. But I think the lesson learned in that is that actually you can do anything and you shouldn't let anybody, no matter who they are, a teacher, a parent, whoever, even if you respect and love them, to let you know that you can't do it. And I think you should definitely just try. So, and then on another thing is I have applied for loads of things. Like there's lots of applications that I've applied for and I would come second in every of them. I'll ask for feedback. Why am I coming second? And they would say, oh, we found a little artist closer. Oh, we this, that, and something else. And actually, it wasn't because I wasn't good enough. It was just that they weren't right. And it's actually collecting your nose and keep on trying. So it doesn't matter if you don't get something, because once I had gone through that stage of coming second in everything, I then became first in everything. And it was really amazing. But then you go through cycles again. It's really hard to get funding at the moment. So it's harder again. So it's just about keep on keeping on. What are the most common mistakes beginners make when painting murals, and how can they avoid them? So I would say the most common mistake would be the materials. So making sure that you are getting the right materials for the right space. So for instance, if you are painting a mural outside, you want weather shield paint. So that's called masonry paint, and that is right for that weather. If it's inside, it's emulsion paint. So you want to get the right paints for the right place, because if you're using the wrong paints and it rains, then it's all going to come away and it's not going to last. So do your research into what is the right paints for the right areas. Have you ever seen a community transformed because of a mural you created with them? And what was that like? So yes, so I actually changed my whole career because of the impact that these murals make. And I want to tell you through 3 stories. So the first ever project that we did, there was a person called Joy, and actually it was everybody who came along to it, but I'm going to talk about Joy because she at the time was anything but joyful. She felt disconnected to her community, she felt disconnected to the people that she was around, disconnected to the place. And by doing our project, she made lifelong friends. She now comes along to other projects that we do. She comes to me a lot. We speak through Facebook, WhatsApp, and all of these different things. And she actually found a lot of purpose and enjoyment in life. And it's amazing to see that difference in people when you're actually doing these kind of projects. Another story, so we had Peter. He was completely antisocial. He didn't like people. He didn't like people because of their colour. He didn't like people because of their race. He didn't like people because of their sex. He was quite intolerant to all different types of people, and he was shouting at his neighbours, and he was really antisocial. And by watching the process, so he didn't actually come along to the workshops, but he did get his daughter, who didn't live with him at the time, submit an artwork which we put into the mural, and he saw the process of how we were painting, and every day he saw his neighbours painting this mural and improving the space, and he ended up being so grateful that he gave us all a white rose at the end. And it was so special to see how he saw that community from just seeing the process every day. And he was like, his friends may be graffitiists, not graffiti artists, and they were all like, we're not going to let anyone touch this. And they had that so much pride and sense of ownership of our mural that we created. And the third story, which is my most moving story in the whole world, and I'm going to call them Joe just for confidentiality. They said to me that they didn't want to live anymore, and they said that they didn't want to be here. And through doing our workshops, they found a new lease of life, and they found purpose, and that they wanted to stay here. And the fact that art, I've always thought it impacts people, but it actually can save lives. And it's just incredible to see how it actually saves lives and the ripple effect of that, because it's not only Joe that's going to be here, it's going to be his children, and it's going to be all these other people that their mother, their father, their brother, their sister, that has made such a difference. How do you secure funding or sponsorship for large-scale murals? So what I would say is there's lots of different routes. Funding and applications is a really good route to go down. And I think the other question actually was, so I'm sort of going to mix these together. What's your advice for pitching a mural to the local council or businesses? So when you're doing funding, it's really important to say what the impact is, what the outcomes are, and what the outputs are. So outcomes are the actual impact that it's going to make, and the outputs are that it's like the numbers. So say, for example, you have had 20 people come along to your workshops. That would be an output, and the outcome is that it's made them all feel like they've got a sense of community and a sense of belonging, and they feel connected to their community. So that would be an outcome. And it's really important to say all of these different things. And when you're pitching, it's really important for you to actually create the whole project. And I know it's a lot of work and you have to do it, but you'd need to find out what community group or what place, if you're going to do it with the community, who you're going to work with, where that mural is going to go, how much you're going to need, how long it's going to take, what is the theme, like all of these different angles. I think it's really important to get as much of a realised project as you possibly can and then pitch with that, because then you have got all of the answers there for any answers that they need, and they can see that you're serious and that it's a proper project. So I think it's really important for you to create the whole project and then pitch it like that. Don't come with any wishy-washy, oh, I think it's going to be this. You want to say, I've got 20 participants that are going to come along to this. I'm going to do it on this. We've got sponsorship from this. And then if you can get anything in kind, say that as well. So it's a really good thing. And it just strengthens that you are serious, that you've got people behind you, the community want it, and it's something that actually people want. What role do you think public art plays in shaping the identity of a community? Obviously I'm going to say a massive role, but it's that thing of like broken window syndrome. You don't love an area, people are going to be antisocial in it, they're not going to love it, they're not going to care for it. You put love into an area, they are going to look after it, they are going to love it, people are going to look out for it, and they're going to make a big difference. So I think it's really important. It's also depending what the murals are and the public art is. All of it makes people happy. All of it brightens everybody's day. It makes people smile. So that's another 3 words that I'd say is making communities smile. And I think public art definitely does that. It makes people feel like they're loved. It makes people feel like they are connected and there's that sense of belonging. And it's really impactful just seeing all of these different spaces bringing people together, because you can have a conversation, it starts them, and there's all these different things that it brings to a community, and especially if a community has helped create it. If you could collaborate with anyone, dead or alive, on a mural, who would it be and why? So I was thinking about this question in 2 different ways. So there's an artist, I really love Roy Lichtenstein. He has really influenced my art in the sense, I come from a textile background and he came from a graphic background, and he did all the dots in his artworks because it was like a newspaper printed artwork. And I thought that was really beautiful and I really loved that. And I went, I hope to say, like a step further by doing lots of different patterns within my work. Because I come from that textile background, I have all of those different patterns within all the different pieces. So throughout my career, there's been pattern based in a lot of it. So I think that would be a really fantastic collaboration. When it's with businesses now who I'd love to employ me, I love working with construction companies and housing associations, because the construction companies have a lot of social value in what they're doing, and housing associations and councils, you've got the beneficiaries there that I really love to work with. So people that I'm hoping and I am going to be working with soon, I had a meeting today, was Waits, so they'll be really great to work with, but all different sorts of housing associations and construction companies for sure. What advice for artists looking to turn mural painting into a full-time career? So I would say there's lots of artists that want to do this. So I think volunteering is a really fantastic way of being on the ground and seeing firsthand the experiences. I'm always happy to take on volunteers to help with our projects, because I really think it's important for them to see and learn about what it's like to paint in situ in public realm. Plus they're going to all have the like public liability insurance for you, so then you won't need that, and you get to learn loads of things. So I think volunteering is a really great start. Also paint. So go into your house, even if you rent it, paint everywhere, paint all the rooms, do murals in your own house, because you can always paint it white after. It's always easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. So if you're living with your parents or living with someone, then you will have to ask permission, but then you can just say, look, I could paint this back whatever colour it is after. But if you practice by painting your own places, then it means you can do whatever you want as well. So you can be completely creatively free. And I would say practicing just painting anyway, because you're going to get better. If you paint, the more you paint, the better you're going to get. So then, yeah, and then you can starting small with like local businesses that you know. Then you could say, oh, I can do this for like a really cheap amount, like maybe they're just paying for your lunches and your materials, but then you're getting your work out there. It's all about getting more under your belt and in your portfolio, and the more you get that, the more you can do. What's been your most viral or widely shared mural, and why do you think it resonates? So I think a lot of our work does, because we work with the community. So one example is we done a mural in Finsbury Park Station with GTR and Great Northern and Arsenal Football Club. You've got 26,000 people that are walking through there every single day. So of course, like that's just going to already be a big thing. But I think why it resonates so much is so a lot of the work that we do, like I said, I'm textile based and come from that background. We do a lot of cultural prints, so we make sure that everybody is celebrated. So we learn, and everybody who's coming along to the workshops are learning about different people's cultures. So we'll have something that, say, for example, it's got Ghanaian shapes in. And if you're Ghanaian, you would be like, oh, I know that shape. But if you're not, you might think it's just a beautiful shape. But if you're interested, you can learn about it. And on our website, we say, oh, who's designed what and what it means and where it's from. So you've got Indian art, Arabic art, all sitting next to each other, African art, an LGBTQIA+ flag, all of the different things. And our community learn about the structures of patterns, so then they can create their own, and then they can bring their own cultures in. And what I really love about it is I actually learn about other people's cultures. So if we've got so in Finsbury Park, there's a lot of Somali art, because a lot of the boys that came along were Somali. So it's really amazing having all of the different like patterns all sitting beside each other and creating these beautiful discussions. And it's very localized. There's a club called the Mousetrap, New Orleans club, that had been there for 32 years, and you've got some designs that are inspired by that. And then you've got Finsbury Park itself, and there's designs inspired by that, and it's bringing all of those different things together. What's the best advice you've ever received as a founder? So I'm a learning junkie. I love to learn. Like, I am always constantly learning. So I think I have got so much advice from so many people that I actually know, people that I've worked with, other businesses, books and podcasts. But I think one of the main things is to keep on learning. So I think that's a really fantastic thing, because you can always learn. Like, if you ever have an issue with anything, which you are definitely going to have in your business, you can, we're so lucky, we've got YouTube, we've got ChatGPT, we've got all of these resources to learn about how we can combat those issues. So I think, as this is actually my piece of advice, is to be a lifelong learner and learn as much as possible. So all of the different people, I'm always asking for help. I think it's the most important thing to be able to say, can you help me with this thing? Can I learn about this thing? How's the best way of reacting and doing something with this? So learning, researching and coming into it. And another thing is to pivot if you need to as well, because there's often times where things will work really well for many years and then it may need to change. So adapt. How did you navigate the transition from an idea to a full-fledged business? I love this. So I cannot believe it. I graduated from Chelsea University Art from textiles first class 20 years ago in the summer, which is crazy. I know I don't look it, hopefully. But from there, my first ever commission was for Charles Saatchi, and then it was to make his daughter a dress. I designed the pattern and designed the actual garment and sewed it all together. And from there, I did a waistcoat for Amanda Eliash's son, and then I worked for Charlie Allen, who is a tailor in Upper Street. And all the time I was doing all of these amazing things, I was like, I've got to get a real job. I've got to get a real job. So then I worked with Woolworths. I don't know if anyone will remember that. I did girls wear with them, which I really, really appreciate because I learned how to design commercially and then how to think commercially as well. And I got to learn more about Illustrator because there was more of that. And then from doing that job, I got another job in Australia and they waited 3 months for me, which was amazing. And I designed their women's wear and prints and the larger women's wear as well. So I was doing like 3 people's jobs. And then when I came back, I worked for Abigail Ahern, who is an interior designer, and I was freelancing and doing studio work for Ted Baker, John Lewis, Debenhams, and all these things. And at that same time, I started my own business, which I had for 10 years. And I collaborated with Harrods. I taught at the V&A, the British Library. I collaborated with ZSL London Zoo, the British Museum, and I was painting murals and I was doing pet portraits. And I was doing murals all around the world. And from that, I did this first project, which I told you about, Joy, and I saw the difference in the people's lives that it made. And I let go of my career. I changed my whole career for this because I felt like everything that I'd learned. So when I was doing commissions for Sadie Frost, Robert Webb, all of these different things I had been leading me up to this point. So I felt like it's about experimenting, working with other people. I've always worked in design, but I've worked in different areas of design, and I felt like everything led me to this point because I was painting private commissions and I was teaching, and I thought, how can I bring everything together to help people? And it was the pandemic that accelerated this. So after saying, how can I help people? I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, I can't help people in that way, but I know creativity helps people, it helps their well-being, it helps them in all different ways. And I was like, this is how I know I can help people. And I saw the difference it made. So I was like, I'm actually going to change my whole career to do this. So everything leads to it. Everything is a stepping stone to getting where you want to be. So I don't believe anyone has a straight path unless you're going to be a doctor and then you have to learn and do all of these different things and then you do it and then you're a doctor. But in any creative industry, you're going through all these different pathways and all these different ways. And I think that's a really good way to get to where you want to be. So you work part-time for other people and then you do your own thing. You work really hard and do it at night and then you can do it. And sometimes things take off and sometimes they don't. But it's actually that persistence and working really hard. If you weren't running this business, what would you be doing instead? So depending on if I was really rich, if that question means I was really rich, then I'd be traveling the world and just seeing all the different things around all the different worlds. But I definitely know that I want to, my aim is to live to 104. And you say, why 104? Because it's a random age. And I think I would just really want to live healthily for a really long time. But my aim is when I'm about 70, I'm going to have a career change and become a yoga teacher. I've been doing yoga for the last 15 years of my life and I absolutely love it. And I think it'd be really amazing to continue that on. But I think it's one of those things, it's something that I want to do in the future. But it still is really a part of my life. But yeah, definitely travel around the world. And actually I've said to my 8-year-old daughter, when she's 18, we're going to go traveling together. So we're going to go traveling together and see the world, have a little mini retirement. But yeah, if I wasn't doing this, I'd be traveling and yoga. but I think I'll be doing this until I'm really old. Well, neighbours, I hope I've answered all your questions about murals, art, life. You can catch me at www.cocreativeconnection.com on all the socials. So Instagram, cocreativeconnection.com, LinkedIn, Rosehill. I've got really big on that now. And Facebook, it's The Co-Creative Connection. Also, if you've got any more questions, do email me. I'm really happy to help people get along on their way.